What's going on, y'all? Welcome back. Today we are talking the all-new 86 Baits times Lowdown Customs collaboration series rod, the Parable. I'm going to run you guys through my first impressions of the rod, details and specs, some of the performance benefits, as well as a handful of applications where I've really seen this rod excel. In the kit, you're going to get not only the rod, but it also comes with a canvas-coated hard tube. Inside this tube, there is a foldable tool wrap. You can stick all 4 segments of the rod in it. And it's also going to come with a set of these 86 Baits and Lowdown Customs rod wraps. These things are super rad if you guys don't want to store it all the way down to the tube. If you're just popping in and out of some quick missions and don't want to break it all the way down. Another key feature that I found that these become beneficial is once you have the rod stored in the tube, you can also wrap these around the side of your reel to keep the face of it protected when you're off the water. This is a 7'9", 4-piece Swimbait rod rated 1 to 4 ounces. Technically it's classified as a medium heavy, printed here on the blank. Although I wouldn't get too wrapped up in that, I would think of this more as a specialized tool for a very specific set of swim baits and glides in your arsenal. All right, talking the rod itself, all black, very subtle branding. This one does have quite a few more branding embellishments though than the traditional standard issue rods. We've got the rating printed on here, got some co-branded logos along the blank. And then we have a 2-piece split EVA grip. This is a full-length handle though, so you can still tuck it up under your arm to really maximize the performance and control. All in all, I think this thing is super rad. It's got some straight guides, a little bit different than the traditional spiral wrap, and I was super impressed with the rod when I first got it. Let's talk performance. This rod definitely lives up to the hype. I've been fishing it for about a month now. As you guys know, I love to fish the 86 Baits lineup. This rod was meticulously tuned to throw the majority of the 86 Baits lineup. On any given day, I'm throwing the failsafe, the passenger, and the dead ringer. Up until this point, I typically have 2 or 3 rods tied on with all of those baits. But since I've been fishing this lately, this is a one-size-fits-all. As long as you're fishing a snap, you can handle all of those baits with ease, just with a couple adjustments to your tension knob and your drag settings according to the bait and the hook size that you're running. This thing is the perfect tool for any of those applications. Like I said earlier, it's 7'9". I would consider this more of a moderate to fast taper. Don't quote me on that exactly. It's just kind of what I've been noticing as I've been fishing it. Since it's shorter, you would think it'd be a lot stiffer, but the rod tip on this is still forgiving enough that once you get those fish pinned on the treble hook baits, you can really crank on them without worrying about bending your hooks out. One thing I was super surprised on was the casting distance of this rod. Typically with shorter rods, you're gonna get a little bit shorter casting distance because it's dialed in for pitching and flipping your baits into tight cover along docks and things of that nature. However, this thing loads up incredibly well and you can launch any of these baits just as far as I can on any of my longer rods. I've been throwing this recently with a 150 sized Ryoga. I've got a 79 handle on here. Since this rod is so forgiving, I'm typically running about 14 to 16 pound line. I know it can be a little scary throwing these expensive baits, but as long as your rod is suited for the occasion, the line rating isn't as scary as it sounds. A lot of times with these multi-piece and travel rods, you're gonna end up sacrificing some quality and performance for the sake of the convenience of it being a travel rod. This rod, however, I would put pound for pound up against any of my other 1-piece rods for performance. Once it's fully assembled, you can't even tell that it's a segmented blank. There's no weird pinch points or uneven taper. This thing is smooth as butter, and it's quickly become a staple in my everyday lineup. Let's talk applications. This rod is gonna be great for a number of anglers. If you're a kayak dealer like myself, you're limited on space. It's hard to bring 6, 7, 8 rods out in the water. So when I'm fishing out of the yak, I wanna make sure that I have some workhorse rods, something I can throw multiple baits on and not have to worry about all that extra gear. This rod most definitely meets and exceeds those needs. I can throw 80 to 90% of the baits that I'm bringing out on any given session. Since it's a shorter blank and I'm lower to the water in the kayak, this rod is great for casting alongside of the kayak, reeling with your rod tip down without having to dunk the whole tip in the water. The shorter length is also going to benefit you guys fishing tight along docks, submerged cover, and if you live in Arizona like I do, fishing bluff walls. You got really small strike zones. The majority of the casts that you're making, you're not bombing it out there. You're just pitching underhand, side casting, trying to get that bait exactly where you need it. Shorter rods are great for that. The split grip on here makes it a lot easier to maintain control when you're making those casts. And then if you're making any longer casts and just steady retrieving, like I said earlier, you can tuck this up against your armpit. You can really maintain the stability all the way through the full cast. Another scenario I think this rod is really going to benefit you guys is if you are a bank angler. A lot of times when fishing the bank, you don't have huge wide open shoreline. You're popping in and out of spots, the tight cover, trees, bushes, and things right around you. Having the shorter rod is going to make it super easy to make those casts without having to worry about getting hung up on your backswing or when you're setting the hook. Having a compact rod like this makes it real easy to pick apart the available space you have to cast and really get that bait where you need it to go. The last area I really think this rod is going to excel for you guys is if you're a dude like me that likes to fish before and after work. Since it only takes a minute or two to store it back up, it makes it really convenient for packing this thing when you get off the water, so you don't have to worry about having expensive gear exposed in your car or truck, and worry about people breaking in. It takes about a minute or two to break this thing down, put it all up in the tube, take your reel, stash that somewhere else. And your gear is a lot more discreet, safe than it would be than if your rod was just hanging in your front seat. All in all, I'm super stoked and pumped on this rod. Very fortunate to be able to fish it the last couple months. This thing met or exceeded any of the expectations I had for it. Like I said before, I've had a lot of bad luck with travel rods, and they don't ever really quite live up to the hype. But this one is most definitely not the case. I think you guys are gonna be super stoked on it if you go ahead and get your hands on one. If you guys have stuck around this long, I appreciate you all. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna go ahead and roll a couple of cast catch clips that I've been fortunate enough to catch on this rod recently. And hopefully I'll catch you all on the next one.
Oh my gosh. Stay down. Oh, at the end of that cast too. First blood on the parable. Dude.
That's what I'm talking about, big dog. That's a good one.